What is up, everybody? We are back. It's episode 3 of the Simp Station Internet Football Podcast. After some technical delays by our dumbass host, we are here recording kind of late, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm here once again with my co-host Wyatt. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. The Jags won. They beat the shit out of the Colts. So
the Jags won, Titans lost, and you're moving from Nashville, the loser town, to Jackson.
To the winner town.
Yeah, it's perfect. Perfect narrative. Mm-hmm. And our very jittery, very dancey co-host, Reeves. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thank you, Travis. It's great to be here.
You don't have to sound like an ESPN talking. Oh, I really think Aaron Rodgers had a great game today.
I thought it'd be funny. Okay.
This is great audio content. I know, like, Banglewood's going to listen to it on the way to work tomorrow and be like, why did they just
what
stop
the fuck?
talking?
What are they
One of the worst podcasts I've ever seen.
I'm ready to go. I'm bringing the energy.
We are through 2 weeks of fantasy. We currently have 2 undefeated teams, including this fine, long-haired woman. Gentleman in between Wyatt and I, Reeves. How does it feel where you've almost reached half your wins from last year? It's only the second week.
It feels pretty good. Yeah, two more wins, and I'm at 500 total. 500 career win percentage, which is not good. But we're off to a pretty good start, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to say I ranked your team substantially higher than Wyatt's.
Yeah, Wyatt.
So that really helps my preseason rankings.
I don't know what the hell Wyatt was thinking, but I think my team is absolutely shitting on his rankings, and I'm pretty happy about that.
The team that's absolutely shitting on our rankings is Sharksy, let's be honest.
Sharksy and Steele after this week, they're both Steele's number 3, Sharksy's number 1.
Yeah. I question both of their benches, but I definitely
and
pooping on some rank ranks.
7 of Sharksy's players are questionable. So
yeah. And that was definitely one of the big things we talked about going in. It wasn't even the starting lineup because she had a lot of like high ceiling players like Cordero, Cooper Kupp, obviously.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's similar with a lot of the starting rosters that people have. Like, a lot of the rosters, like, look pretty good. It's just their benches are either, like, really thin or maybe the starting rosters just aren't performing as well as they need to. Like, CeeDee Lamb is going to be probably not as good as he was projected. He's got Cooper Rush throwing to him. He's not gonna get 20 points a game with Cooper Rush.
Yeah, a lot of people, I think, hey, good on them, honestly. I'm glad people are proving us wrong. They get to throw a little middle finger to Wyatt and I for absolutely shitting on them in the first episode.
Idiots.
Yeah. Hey, we're trying to get monetized. We're trying to get monetized here, Reeves.
Thumbnail moment.
Oh god, the YouTube overlords are going to fuck us over now. All right. So, we have also decided to make a little change, add some content. We're content machines. So, we're going to be handing out weekly some awards. But first, we got to go over the matchups. I think starting with Steele, as we just mentioned, 164 points against Mr. Wyatt over here.
I don't
know. He won by 76 points.
For reference, I scored 75 this week. So Reeves is laughing so hard his camera's out of focus.
My camera's gone. That's hilarious.
Steele beat me by a Travis this week. Let's just say that.
Literally, Wyatt and I stacked on to make a steal. His team absolutely went off. That Miami-Baltimore game was absolutely fucking crazy.
And Chubb had 3 touchdowns.
Lost. Yeah, Chubb had 3 touchdowns.
Mike Williams popped off.
Yeah,
without participating in the second half, he just scored 25 points.
Yeah, it turns out Mike Williams is a pretty good player, and so when he doesn't have Keenan Allen, they're just like, okay, we're going to give you the ball every single play, and they just chucked it to him.
But even last week, Keenan Allen went out in the first quarter, and Mike Williams had 3 targets or something.
Yeah.
Something like
they didn't game plan around Mike Williams though.
That's how Mike Williams was all of last year. He was either 4 points or 20 points. So
yeah. That's why he did so well on Agnell's team for the first half of the season, because they decided, hey, he's going to be our guy, and then for some reason halfway through they're like, you know what? No, we're going to throw it at Keenan Allen for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I hope Steele can keep it up, just because I think it makes the league more fun. But we'll see. And then Sharks is obviously the other one besides Steele this week. She's first in the league after finishing 9th last year, I think. Steele was also 10th. So actually, yeah, three top teams in the league did not make the playoffs last year.
Yep.
And then there's Acknills. Yeah, I mean, Sharks' team, I think we already talked about it, the low bench. And then there's a little boy named Reeves up there. Another dominant win.
The sun god.
Yeah.
The sun god.
And Diggs.
Bro, they're carrying me. I was thinking, going into my draft, because I tried and do this last year as well, I'm trying to figure out who is my late round draft pick that has the potential to break out and pop off. Last year I thought maybe it was Swift. I got him in like the 4th round. It wasn't his year. He's good, but he wasn't quite as good. This year I actually went DJ Moore. I was like, okay, DJ Moore is my guy. I'm drafting him, picking DJ Moore up. Nope, it's not him. I can already tell it's not him. Turns out it was my 7th round pick, Amon-Ra, who I just picked up. I had him at a pretty good spot, pretty good ranking, but certainly not as high as a lot of other people. And I got really lucky with that. So
I got pissed when you took him because I picked 4 picks ahead of you in that round, or 3 or 4, whatever it was. And I had my mouse over Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I noticed the bye weeks. He had the same bye week as my first 2 receivers.
Oh, damn.
And I was literally like, no!
See, it's funny because one thing I was thinking as well, I probably wouldn't have picked him if Jerry Jeudy was still on the board. Because I ranked Jerry Jeudy and Amon-Ra about the same, but maybe Jerry Jeudy like just a little bit higher, like the ranking higher, but like same tier. I was pretty high on both of them. And I lucked out because Bean sniped him from me, like 2 picks in front of me. And then I get Amon-Ra, which is great. Kind of a same thing that happened with Biz and Alex earlier this week.
That matchup.
Oh, no.
Well, I don't know. Was that sniping or is that Alex taking 12 shots and missing?
Okay, but it's sure, but it's more of both players basically picked or allowed their opponent to have the player that would end up killing them in the end.
Yeah. Alex tried his little quarterback strat to cheese it. You know, it wasn't against the rules. But,
and then Goff
it was so funny.
And, like, to be fair, he did get Carson Wentz first, and Carson Wentz did do better than Goff.
Yeah.
So he didn't completely fail. He just dropped
Wentz
Mac Jones.
Wentz was a good pickup. It was just very funny that the whole Matt Ryan, Jared Goff fiasco was quite hilarious.
I think he had Mac Jones and Matt Ryan on his roster at some point. And
Taysom Hill.
Yeah. And Taysom Hill, but I think he actually wanted Taysom Hill.
I think so,
that's
too.
A little different. But yeah, and then I guess I'm obligated to mention Spencer and I in the Shitter Bowl.
The Shit Bowl.
Spencer was the 9th highest scoring team this week. I was 12th. I'm still pissed at Josh McDaniels for refusing to utilize their best player on their entire team correctly, but it's fine. Also, if I would have played Drake London, that would have been a nice help. It is not a Juju angle.
He kind of broke out. Drake London might be good.
It's a Juju.
I think that's going to be my biggest steal in the whole draft. Probably is Drake London because he is, or Pat Fryermuth because
he seems legit.
Both, I mean, but yeah, that was definitely the Shitter Bowl. I think there were no really close games. Even the close one was supposed to be Dalton and Bengalwood, and that was.
At the end, surprisingly, Alex made it somewhat of a game, but it never really felt close.
He was like 50 points down, and with a tight end and a defense. So even though it looks closer, it's like there's no way they're scoring 50.
It never really felt that close. Yeah.
It more just kind of inflated Alex's stats. But yeah, I mean, I guess.
And Bengal would beat Dalton despite leaving Tua on the bench. With
leaving Tua on the bench and having a tight end with 0 points.
Yeah.
Mr. Cole Kmet.
Oh, God.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, Tua was on the bench and Rashad Bateman on the bench, who had almost 20 points. And he still got a solid
Thank God he got Tyreek.
He wanted Tyreek. He got Tyreek. Can't blame him.
Finally, it was looking like it was the Waddle angle, and then Tyreek's just kidding, Bengalwood. I got you.
He also
came out of nowhere.
Miami defense, who scored -4.
Yeah. So, yeah. So So 2 players combined for -4 points. That's pretty.
And he has Christian Kirk, my predicted wide receiver 1, top 12. So
he does, which that's
got 2 touchdowns.
Probably good for him because Marquise Brown is not looking like a wide receiver 2 like he's playing him at.
Yeah.
But I think it's a solid win for Bengalwood. Whichever team lost this was going to be 0-2 and not feeling too hot. So Bengalwood got the nice pop off. I mean,
yep.
God, these matchups, they're so. Actually, the closest matchup was Spencer and I, but neither of us scored any points, which is why it was close. It was just, I don't know. None of them feel really interesting.
Yeah, I think we hit all of them. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's time we're going to unveil the first weekly SimStation Internet Football podcast, the greatest name and easiest to say of all time.
Great name, phenomenal name, Commish.
Awards. It's very original too. We have 4 awards. We're going to start with our stud of the week. Basically, this is a player that you can take it however the fuck you want. I don't care. Probably a player that popped off way above how they're projected to do. Wyatt, give us one. I know you have 8 bajillion.
Well, I'm going to go with a pretty obvious one, and it's Stephon Diggs. Reeves loved it. He had 12 catches, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's pretty average. He could do better, but
he also got benched after 3 quarters.
He didn't even play the last quarter.
And he still scored like 45 or whatever it was.
38, yeah.
38. Yeah. There you go.
It's like 45 in PPR.
I want to pick the wide receiver for the other team that Reeves handily beat, Mr. Jalen Waddle, who is projected as his number 2, pretty much. I mean, no one really knew how the target share between Tyreek and Jalen Waddle is going to be, and it turns out they can both get 190 yards in one game, which is absolutely fucking crazy.
When Tua throws for 460, then yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, like Stephon Diggs is like a number 1, and he popped off. Don't get me wrong, but Waddle is supposed to be this number 2 who's 11 catches for 171 and 2 touchdowns, including the game winner, which obviously is not reflected in fantasy, but it was a great.
He had 19 targets.
Jesus Christ.
19 targets. If you go watch the highlight reel, it's half of it is just Waddle. In fact, I'm surprised Tyreek got as many points and targets as he did, because it looked like he had 2 or 3 plays that were Tyreek, and everything else was just to Waddle. Well,
Tyreek had 13 targets, which
exactly. That's still really high.
Yeah, and he also had 11 catches.
Yeah, they both had 11. So it was like, they're definitely. I think they scheme Waddle up a little more, and then they kind of just tell Tyreek to run across the field.
Yeah, so just find the zone in the defense, and they just chuck it to him, and then he runs the rest.
God, it's so good. I mean, that game was just incredible. Yeah, I mean,
he made me a little scared because that was before the later games, and so it went from I have a pretty good shot at winning, and all of a sudden Waddle comes out of nowhere, and I'm like, dear God, no, don't make this a turnaround, please. So it was okay. Whew,
and then I think. I mean, my other prediction for the stud is going to be Lamar Jackson. Honestly, Jalen Hurts was up here too, but they kind of slowed down in the second half. He had 30 points in the first half, but they definitely slowed down a bit, and he threw a pick. Lamar, let me pull up the stats because they're ridiculous. 318 passing yards, 3 pass touchdowns, 119 rushing yards, and 1 rushing touchdown for a whopping 42 fantasy points this week.
Yeah, that hurts.
Yeah. Plus, Mark Andrews had 30.
Yeah, that also hurt.
Which is for steal.
That's the lead, right? He beat me by 77, and they scored 70.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's probably my other stud of the week. I think those few players really stick out.
Yeah, I think for me, I don't really want to double up on 2 of my wide receivers, so I'm not going to say Amon-Ra St. Brown, even though I was very happy about his massive breakout. I'm going to go to Biz and Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones had a mediocre week last week. Great week this week. 2 touchdowns, 132 rushing yards. He looked fast. He looked great. Every time he got the ball, he was flying. I think he was 9 yards per carry against the Bears. He just destroyed them. He was insane. So
it's almost like when the Packers give him the ball, he scores.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
kind of good. But
Yeah.
it's okay. Give the ball to A.J. Dillon. I'm okay with that.
Just hand it to Dillon again.
keep
Let
giving it
him run
to
for
Dillon.
4 yards.
Dude, I was so scared of the Packers running backs just because I went through the Aaron Jones experience last year where he'd pop off, have 4 touchdowns one game, and then like 9 touches the next game. And you're like that Pulp Fiction meme where John Travolta's like,
Yeah.
and that'd just be me looking for Aaron Jones touches. But yeah, I mean, when he pops off, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The Bears defense is also pretty terrible. I think somehow they took a monsoon to hold the 49ers to like 10 points, but I think we're going to see them just get constantly destroyed.
Yeah, agreed.
But yeah,
that team's terrible.
Yeah, but Aaron Jones
Also, gotta give a shout out to for stud of the week to Christian Kirk, 2 touchdowns and 80 yards. Gotta give the Jags some love.
He's not wearing a Jags hat or anything, guys. It's fine. It's fine.
For sure.
I think I think he's like the 8th wide receiver in the league according to PFF right now, which is pretty boggers.
He's looking really good. He's not doing anything super fancy deep, but he's open all of the time, from 7 to like 25 yards. He's just destroying that area of the field.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the coaching staff's done a really good job of like scheming him up, where they'll move him. He's been going in the backfield in some plays and coming out and doing like a wide receiver Texas almost.
Yeah,
they'll
he did. That was what he did. That was what he did on the touchdown. He literally was lined up as a running back, and they did a Texas, and he just bowled his way over. He's like a skinny dude. And he's ran over like 2 linebackers. Another play that he had a big play. A linebacker was playing man on him. They just played man on Christian Kirk. He's like, okay, and it goes.
It's just good coaching. You can Urban Meyer would waste this guy.
Yeah.
But I think now the Jags have good coaches. It's like, wow, crazy the things you can do by moving people.
And Trevor Lawrence did a great job of realizing, there's a linebacker on my number 1 receiver. I'm going to throw to him when he inevitably gets open.
Hey, we take those.
We do in fact take those.
I mean, the final stud I'll mention is the Tampa Bay defense. 26 points, 28 points. It was 26. 3 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 6 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. So 5 turnovers, 6 sacks, a touchdown, and they allowed 10 points. Yeah. Pretty disgusting week.
That's pretty gross.
Famous Jameis loves handing them out. So I guess sometimes you got to take advantage. But
he
Sharksy
was
did
not
say
enjoying W's after that.
Yeah, she said before the season she loved the Bucs defense. So it's so far another good call by her.
Yeah.
So who do we think is the stud of the week? I mean, we gotta pick a winner.
I'm on run. Son God.
I don't know. I think 12 catches with 3 touchdowns, 150 is kind of hard to beat.
Yeah, but Amon-Ra was a wide receiver 3 coming into the year.
See, yeah, I kind of think I'm kind of leaning Amon-Ra St. Brown, to be honest with you.
Just as one of my receivers gets it, I'm okay.
Okay.
Just because I think Stephon Diggs was the number 1 receiver with a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Amon-Ra St. Brown was the number 1 receiver with Jared Goff. So,
hey, he had a great game.
Actually, are we not gonna give it to Tua with 470 yards and 6 touchdowns?
No, forget about Tua. No.
Okay, my issue is he didn't start. So I guess he's a stud.
Yeah.
But maybe he's
talking about performance.
He's a stud on the bench.
I'm fine with giving it to Amon-Ra. He was really good. So.
Okay, well, listen, Alex Banglewood, I know you're gonna be pissed. I'm sure when
Fuck
comments are gonna dislike this video. Yeah. But maybe start him next time if you want to get an award.
Yeah.
Okay. Bet. All right. Next award is the dud of the week. I'm going to give a nice little shout out to Mr. Justin Jefferson, who, after popping off last week, was pretty. I mean, he did have 12 targets, so he actually had more this week than last week.
He got blanketed, dude.
Yeah, by 6 catches for 48 yards.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins did not play well either. He threw 2 red zone picks. I believe at least one of them was thrown to Justin Jefferson in the end zone. Not going to turn out well for JJ.
Yeah, yep. I don't think it was JJ's fault. But
the whole offense was garbage.
After last week, where we thought he was going to be this god, 2,000 yards, 20 touchdowns, he definitely came back to earth this week.
Yeah.
How about you, Wyatt? Give us a dud, a shitter.
I have a few of them, but I'm gonna enjoy telling you guys this one, and it's Tom Brady.
Ooh.
He has been a large disappointment so far. He only had 190 yards and a touchdown, and then a fumble loss last week. So,
Yeah.
not great.
Yeah, it's hard because like Julio was out, Chris Godwin was out, Mike Evans got ejected, and it's against the team that he always does bad against.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, he's probably a dud, but like, how much does that mean?
Yeah, but Mike Evans got ejected in the fourth quarter. He still had 3 quarters to have production.
Okay, so he had
Mike
one
Evans...
good receiver for 3 quarters, and then his number one receiver after that was Brashad Perriman.
Dude, excellent.
Yeah.
Brashad Perriman got cut from the Jets.
And Mike Evans gets
The fucking
locked down
Jets.
by Marshawn Lattimore every time he plays him.
He
Yeah,
does.
so it's like, I mean, yeah, it's probably one of those, kind of like JJ, where it's like, it may not have been his fault completely, but yeah,
But it still happened.
Yeah.
And it's very satisfying to watch.
No, not for the guy who drafted him. It's not very satisfying.
Yeah, well, you're an idiot.
That was just mean. My feelings are kind of hurt.
All right, Reeves, do you have a dud?
Oh, I do have a dud. I don't know if you guys know about this, but it's shitting on Dalton season. There was a very large deal made about some players and maybe some waiver wire pickups and just some stuff going on. Basically, it's Jordan Mason. Who, you say? Exactly. Jordan Mason coming into the year, the running back 4 on the San Francisco 49ers. He plays special teams. Is there a reason he plays special teams? Yes, it's because he's bad. Exactly. Dalton decides, okay, my starting running back, my running back 2 in Elijah Mitchell, he's hurt. Should I, with my first waiver pick, should I pick his backup, who will get all of the touches? Should I pick his backup's backup? Or should I pick his backup's backup? Who once again, still this week, gets 0 points. Dalton, what are you thinking, man? Come on, how do you do that? So, thank God he left him on the bench, but after talking Jordan Mason up and just being like, no, you guys, I got this. This is the pick of the year. I know this is it. I'm passing on Jeff Wilson Jr. I'm going with the Jordan Mason angle. Jordan Mason gets him 0 points, and he's trying to trade him away. Just drop him. No one wants him. He's a garbage player. He literally is playing special teams. I don't know what Dalton's thinking, but absolutely 100% dud of the week. And if Dalton didn't make a big fuss about this, no one would care about Jordan Mason, and he wouldn't be a dud of the week. We'd give it to someone else like Derrick Henry or something.
Also on Dalton's team.
I'll give you another one who has the same scoring production as Jordan Mason, except he's a starter, and that's Cole Kmet.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
For Alex's team, or for Bengalwood's team. I think he has 2 targets and 0 catches in 2 games.
The Bears threw the ball 11 times against the Packers.
And
they were losing.
They ran the ball a ton.
Justin Fields
Montgomery
had less completions in this season than Josh Allen had in 3 quarters last night. I think he has 8 completions in both games. Like
I don't
it's
understand.
like, what are they doing? So I don't know if I blame Cole Kmet, but no catches, none. There's no receivers on that team. I mean,
Mooney has nothing either.
Yeah, it's like
he's droppable at this point.
There's not throwing the ball.
They're not. Yeah, it's crazy.
Ohio State players, am I right, Agbills?
Low.
The last dud I'll have is another tight end that I've been shitting on since the draft, and that's Kyle Pitts. I said the whole time, so I'm kind of glad being vindicated a little bit. I've been saying the whole time he wasn't going to be good, and he's pretty much unanimously drafted as tight end 3.
Same stat line as week 1, 2 catches, 19 yards.
Poggers.
Pretty bad.
Yeah, I feel like he's not even covered or like he's not even open every play. Like people seem to think he's just open, and like he's really not. From the bit I saw from the Falcons-Rams game, like he's not open that much.
Apparently, he's been blocking a decent amount this year as well, which is dumb. And what I heard from Arthur Smith, apparently he said something like, "I don't care about fantasy. I care about winning." but they're not winning. They suck.
They're 0-2,
You're not going to use
and you're using
one of
a
your
bad
best
run
players.
blocker.
I know.
As a run blocker, that's not winning.
It's almost like Arthur Smith is a bad coach.
Well,
Listen, his dad owns FedEx. He just got in that way.
They just shipped him in a box, and they opened him up. You're like, oh, here's a coach. I guess we'll take him.
I'm just imagining Art,
just unrolling out of the box. Howdy, y'all.
Welcome to Atlanta. In the press conference, Arthur Blank just wheels out the fucking just giant 6-foot tall box, and everyone's like, "I thought this was the press conference," and they're like, "Oh, it is." He cuts open the box, and it's just Arthur Smith
on the podium already. The box opens this way, and he just walks out like it's a sarcophagus. Oh no, my camera, my camera.
I love Reeves moving. Just makes me laugh.
It's really funny.
It just. He gone.
all right, I got another dud.
Give us a dud.
It's a player that did pretty well in week 1. He was the lead back in Miami. It's Chase Edmonds. He, for some reason, started in week 1, did well, and then they bench him in week 2, and he put up 4 points.
His stat line's heavily inflated, actually. He had a 25-yard carry on the last drive where the Ravens were all thinking pass. And Mike McDaniel had a great call to actually just run the ball at them because they still had 2 timeouts, and that was a 25. He literally had I think it was 1.8 points before then or something. So yeah, it's weird. That's another team where I was so scared of the running backs because they have a lot of good running backs, but no great running back, and I was really scared to pick up any of them because you just never know how the carries are going to go.
Yeah, it was just so weird because he did so well in week 1, and then he just gets benched for no reason for mustard.
Do as a god.
Yeah, true.
And I want mustard.
Another dud. He's on my team. Rashad Penny. He let me down. He scored 1.5 points. But I mean, it's partly game script because they got behind super early, so they couldn't run a lot. He only had 6 carries. But
the Niners have one of the best defensive lines in the league too. I mean, Montgomery had 13 carry. I think he'll average 2 yards a carry against them in that range.
Oh, I think it was 1.5. It was terrible.
Yeah, they have. Their defensive line is literally loaded. So I think running the ball for any team is going to be difficult.
It was definitely a little bit of both because from what I saw, I think the carries were actually. I think Travis Homer, who's the third down receiving back, had more snaps than Rashad Penny. Yeah, because they're behind the entire game, so they just have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
And so I think he had 22 snaps, Penny had 20, and my boy Kenneth Walker had 12.
Ken Walker. Yep. And I mean, and you said they were passing the ball the whole game, but another dud I had was DK Metcalf, and he's been pretty disappointing so far.
They gave all the targets to Lockett.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where that came from, but they just did.
It's so weird because you never. I mean, Geno's good enough, but you also just never know if he's going to be who he's going to decide to throw to, how many passes they're even going to go for. It's just it's going to be sporadic all season, I think, with any of the Seahawks players. So who's the real dud? Who is the weekly dud?
I mean, Cole Kmet had 0 points. So.
Yeah, I would say Jordan Mason just to meme Dalton, but he didn't start.
Yeah.
And Cole Kmet did start.
Yeah, Cole Kmet's pretty
2
bad.
weeks in a row.
Pretty bad.
I think Cole Kmet's probably the guy.
That's got to be the dud.
And then, our next 2 awards, Manager of the Week and Waiver Wire Pickup of the Week, they're going to be pretty intertwined here because we both gave Manager of the Week to Biz. She started 2 waiver wire pickups this week, including our waiver wire pickup of the week, Jared Goff, because Alex is terrible at blocking quarterbacks. Jared Goff did great. Biz her quarterback and tight end have been injured, and she was able to score second or third in the league for the week.
Second. She picked up Logan Thomas when Kittle got hurt. She's just nope, screw it. I'm dropping Noah Fant. I'm picking up Logan Thomas, who, she didn't really last week didn't really show up. He had some targets, but didn't catch that many balls. Still started Breece Hall. She's now I trust in Breece Hall. Started James Robinson. So Steele might have had a great week. I feel I don't know if Steele actually made any lineup changes, but I think Biz, who needed to have a good week, absolutely just crushed Alex and had some great moves.
She adapted really well, and
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, I mean, Steele's the only move I remember from Steele is he benched Devonta Smith for DK this week.
and Devonta Smith did better.
Bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's like, so if anyone gets mad that Steele scored 160, this is why. We're talking about the decision-making process. Come on, Steele. Use that brain.
Could have broken Becca's record if you weren't so
I think the only waiver wire pickups were in Biz versus Ag Mills. It was literally them two plus Curtis Samuel. I think we're the only waiver wire pickups to play this week.
Yeah, and Agnos had some really good waiver wire pickups as well. It didn't give him the victory, but they were still really good. But he was second pick, and Dalton was above him. He didn't pick up anything. I don't know what he was doing.
He picked up Jordan Mason.
He picked that up even afterwards because nobody wanted him.
Yeah, once Kamara got hurt, announced that he was out, Beans picked up Mark Ingram and played him, but he only got 5.5 points.
Yeah. I don't think. I mean, that was good for what she had, but I don't think she had an option otherwise. Honestly, start Cam Akers, I guess, which would have been better, but I don't think.
Yeah, it was just so risky. You didn't. I mean, and that's another thing. He got 15 carries that game. So is he actually going to be able to play the game now, or
I have no idea.
I don't know what they're doing.
They were ahead the entire game, though. That Falcons defense is paper. I mean, they were up. They almost lost the game, but they were up the whole time. I think Darrell Henderson had over 10 carries as well. It's Oh, wait, did you mean Mark?
No, Cam Akers.
Oh, okay, Cam. I was like, did I just completely mishear him? And just
Travis's brain is falling apart.
No.
Trivia destroyed him.
No. My brain did function correctly, but it didn't know it functioned correctly. Okay, now for our topic of the week. So this podcast, we're gonna have a juicy one today, guys.
It's fun.
Yeah, we're going for the long haul. Reeves isn't used to that, but we're going long. Our topic this week is make or break players for week 3. We may have touched on a lot of these already, to be honest, at least on my list.
Yeah.
But we're talking about players who really, really need to have a good week, either to keep themselves as a starter instead of getting benched, or some maybe fringe bench players getting cut and not getting picked up for fantasy leagues. Wyatt, give us your first make or break player.
First make or break would be we talked about him a little bit. Kyle Pitts. I feel like he has to show some sign of life next week for Dalton to still roster this guy pretty much. Otherwise, what do you do with him?
Unless
you
Dalton
drafted him
trades
pretty
away
high.
his entire roster.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. But I mean, if he can come out next week and actually show up, he could be okay. But
and they're against the Seahawks. It's a good it's a good enough matchup. You're not going to get many better matchups.
How dare you? The Seahawks defense is shut down.
Listen, even Russell Wilson, with how dysfunctional the Broncos have been, was throwing to tight ends for the first half of that game consistently. So they got to.
That was all he was throwing to.
Yeah.
Just dumping it off to the tight end and Javonte Williams the entire game.
Pretty much.
And Kyle Pitts, you don't have to do anything crazy. Just
be open.
5 catches. Even if it's 5 catches for 45 yards, I think that'd be okay. It's not great. Don't go.
Yeah.
It's not tight end 3, but it's you're playing the game. That's good. Reeves, give us a make or break player.
I got a bunch here, but I'm going to start off with Zeke. Zeke has not looked that great. He's only got exactly 5.4 points each week for Banglewood. He's got Cooper Rush. I feel like they've got to just give Zeke the ball. I know their offensive line isn't good anymore, I guess, but I don't know how he's not doing better. Tony Pollard did really well.
Yeah, he had a long touchdown.
Yeah, he had a long touchdown, but I think I want to double check, but I think they're getting similar usage almost. And he needs to really pop. He needs to get a touchdown. He needs to pop off to start getting going and being a solid running back too. But so far, been a little disappointing.
I had another Cowboy, and that was CeeDee Lamb. Obviously, they do have Cooper Rush, so I'm not expecting anything deep. But right now, all the defenses can kind of hone in on the running game and Dalton Schultz, who just got injured. because they don't really have like an effective passing game to the wide receivers. And CD has 22 targets, I think, and only 9 catches.
Yeah.
He's not catching like last week. Last week was a really bad one.
It was mostly last week because he had 11 targets and 2 catches, which is awful.
But even this week, he went 7 for 11, which is like okay.
Yeah, that's a little better. Yeah.
If you're this number 1 receiver, like I guess I just want you to have a little more production and maybe get to the end zone at some point.
I agree. I think he's probably going to get blanketed, and Cooper Rush just isn't going to. He's not going to give him the pop-off potential that he needs, but I would agree. Yeah. He's a good player.
Yeah. I think 1 or 2 more like bad games from him is probably going to move him into the wide receiver 2 to flex angle.
Yeah.
Maybe instead of like the wide receiver 1 or high end wide receiver 2 he was drafted as.
Yeah.
But it's been a little rough. Cooper Rush is it wasn't that bad, I guess.
They won.
What?
Yeah, they won.
They beat the Bengals. What is up with the Bengals?
Dude, what is up
Talk
with
about
the
make or
Bengals?
break. What are they doing?
I may have a
team
Bengal
in
on my
general.
list.
Oh boy.
Another one. I might be stealing it from Travis because he said he had a Bengal on his list, but Joe Burrow.
That's it. Yeah.
I understand he's getting absolutely just destroyed back there because for some reason the Bengals spent like $70 million on their offensive line this offseason and they still suck.
Yeah.
Like they're even worse.
They're worse.
And I don't understand. So
yeah, and he holds onto the ball a lot. When you have a bad offensive line, you're doomed.
And I also think Zach Taylor is not it for them. But
they made it to the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
It has to be good.
They kind of caught lightning in a bottle last year, but I don't think he's a very good coach at all.
Yeah, it's tough because the offensive line does suck, but you played 2 pretty, okay teams, I guess. The Steelers and Dallas both have a good defense, so it's not like they were easy opponents. But you also have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Joe Mixon. And
they should have won both of those games.
They scored the 17 in the second game and 20 in the first game.
Yeah.
You're putting up 20 points a game with one of the most loaded offenses in the league, really?
Yeah.
And the offensive line's obviously part of that. The coaching is a little sus, but Joe Burrow's also just got to be better and stop turning the ball over and just get the ball out of his hands and let his playmakers play the game.
Give it to Jamar.
There's another team that, honestly, surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, but has been averaging over 20 points a game.
Most teams. Well, what is your team, Reeves? The Jacksonville Jaguars? Is that really surprising that we average?
No, it's not. They're an amazing offense. They need to be averaging 80 points a game.
True.
If they're not averaging 80 points a game, I need to fire Trevor Lawrence right now.
I wonder how many teams are even averaging less than 20. It's probably like the Panthers,
The
Broncos,
the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Texans,
the Bengals,
the Colts. Okay, it's actually a good amount,
Yeah.
There you go, Joe Burrow. You may be like the 9th worst offense.
Yeah. The 9th worst on what should have been one of the best.
Made the Super Bowl and dropped to the 9th worst offensive league. Great job.
Love that.
Reeves, who is going to make or break this week?
All right, I'm going to go. We have a lot of tight ends on our list. We haven't hit this one yet. I'm going to go Dawson Knox.
He's on my list as well.
Oh, that's great. Oh, my God.
Tell us, why is Dawson Knox really make or break?
Well, because last year, Dawson Knox started popping off. He started getting a ton of touchdowns, I guess a decent amount of targets as well. He hasn't really been part of the offense that much. His week 1, he had 1 point. I think he had 1 catch, maybe.
Yeah,
probably one catch for 5. Yeah, 1 catch, 2 targets for 5 yards. That's it. That's terrible. For a top, we're supposed to be a top 10 tight end. Granted, Cole Kmet was also top 10, but whatever. Dawson Knox this week 6.1 points, which is respectable for a tight end. But that's only on 5 targets, and Gabe Davis wasn't in the game. Gabe Davis was out. And he hasn't had a touchdown yet. His touchdown rate last year was insane. That's why he did so well, because he was catching touchdowns, multiple touchdowns, long bombs, every single game. Every single game, he was just popping off. And he hasn't hit a touchdown yet. He really needs a touchdown. Alex would love for him to get a touchdown. He's just sitting there going, please, Lord, let me get a touchdown. I'm going to put Taysom Hill as my tight end, and he might actually get a touchdown. Dawson Knox, really, he needs a touchdown. He needs something to get going. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to flame the Bills because like a lot of the players have given excuses to because their teams are bad or whatever, and like the Bills have everything they need.
Yeah, we're not going to go
without Dawson Knox.
We're not going to tell the Bills, "Oh, you should be throwing to Dawson Knox." When no, why would you do that? They're just crushing everyone.
Yeah, they've scored 70 points, and Dawson Knox has like 6 points total. So it's like
they have the highest.
Those
have the highest margin of victory. They had the highest margin of victory for a team that has opened against 2 playoff teams in all time. It's like plus 60 points in 2 games.
Are the Titans a playoff team though?
They were last year.
Last year,
I know.
They were the number 1.
No, they're not this year. They fucking suck
terrible
this year.
And they haven't. They played the Raiders this week, so they could easily start 0-3. Dawson Knox is just.
Let's hope so.
He's got. I mean, at least like. I think maybe once Gabe Davis comes back, like the Rams have okay linebackers. The Bills play Miami this week, who. I mean, they just gave up 30 points to Mark Andrews, so it's definitely possible that like Dawson Knox is going to have some more room to work with.
Yeah,
and Miami has a good secondary, so maybe Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis will see less targets. So this could be the week to see if Dawson Knox is really going to be involved.
Yeah, but they definitely have a different offensive scheme than what they had last year. Last year, it was definitely all of the short dump-off routes were going to Cole Beasley. Now Cole Beasley isn't there. Now they have Crowder and McKenzie.
Yep.
And so, like, they're giving them some of the targets. Dawson Knox is getting, like, the rest of them. So, and then everything deep is just Gabe Davis. Actually, Stephon Diggs is just getting everything. Everything, like, short stuff, mid stuff, long stuff. Diggs is getting absolutely everything. Davis is getting some of that deep stuff. And the other 3 are sharing the short stuff. And that's about it.
Yeah, plus, I think their offensive coordinator has kind of changed things up a little bit where it's like, because, I mean, Brian Dable went to the Giants, and they've definitely definitely focused more on, like, feeding the ball to Stephon Diggs.
Yeah.
And just overutilizing their best player, or best pass catcher.
Sounds like something the Falcons should do.
They are. His name is
Drake London.
True. I got one more, and it's kind of, I don't know if it's actually make or break, but it's a player that needs to show up, or else the owner.
If you fucking say Tom Brady again, if you force this,
it's
fucking
gonna be
guy into
Travis Etienne.
I mean, that's one, but I was gonna say Austin Eckler.
Oh,
I think he's been. I mean, Agmels is pretty disappointed in him, and he is not meeting third running back overall expectations.
Doesn't have a touchdown yet.
Yeah, and he's just not getting like used that much. I don't know why.
I mean, week 2 was a pretty big improvement to his usage, especially in the passing game. And now that Justin Herbert is hurt, and they have no Keenan Allen.
Hey, he's fine. He's healthy.
I'm saying he's in pain.
Healthy.
And they're going to want to do things like they're going to want to make it as easy as they can for the next couple weeks.
Exactly.
So,
listen,
it should be Eckler's time.
No. It's easy enough for Herbert to chuck the ball down the field all game. You saw him. He was dying, and he was still chucking it and slinging it and getting those tutties, and that's all. Those
tutties, yes. They love big tutties. Now, the issue is, of course, they're against the Stonewall Jacksonville Jaguars defense, who just held Jonathan Taylor to like 3.5 yards a carry, who's supposed to be the best. Now, I think against the Commanders, I almost said Redskins, but
racist.
Canceled.
Racist.
We're trying to keep this show on the air. All right. Against the Redskins, they allowed. God, fuck! Against the Commanders.
Sharksy has just unsubscribed.
Oh, no.
Against the Commies. They Curtis Samuel had some success out of the backfield, and so did Antonio Gibson. So I mean, it could be a pretty good week for Eckler with all the things considered. But yeah, I think he's got to step it up for sure. Now, Reeves, I know you wanted to close on a certain player.
Yeah,
if it's Jordan Mason, I swear to God, I'm flipping my table.
So it's a little bit of everything. It's not. I actually had a lot of other ones I could talk about. the person I wanted to talk about most, it wasn't Derrick Henry, although Derrick Henry really needs it. It wasn't Kyle Pitts, although Kyle Pitts really needs it. It wasn't Adam Thielen, although Adam Thielen really needs it. It
really
wasn't
weird.
Jordan Mason, although it really needs it. It was Dalton as a player. Jesus, Dalton needs to win. For the love of God, Dalton needs to win so bad. Like, his team is... How is it up? Granted, he might trade away Derrick Henry. Like, this trade might go through, and he might get Leonard Fournette, and Leonard Fournette might carry him to the promised land. I don't think that's enough. Let's go look at his team. His team is so unbelievably terrible. He needs as much help as he can get.
It looks like Dalton might be wearing the Daddy's Little Girl shirt.
Listen, I did make the bold prediction that Dalton's team would be the worst in SimStation football history.
It's really bad. Aaron Rodgers, all of his passing yards are going to go to the running backs this season. Jahan Dotson, he's going to be pretty decent, but he's going to be the second or third receiver on that team. And he's performed really well, but he's only got 5 targets each game. Michael Thomas, I have nothing bad to say about Michael Thomas. He's carrying the shit out of Dalton right now.
That was a good pick.
He's like the only good player. He picked him early, which I thought, and he's still popping off, so whatever. Lull at Derrick Henry. The entire weeks before we're trying to get Adam Dalton. We're trying to ask Dalton, what are you gonna pick? And he said, I'm picking Derrick Henry 3rd overall. And he was serious, and now he's bad. So there's that. He picked CEH. CEH has been doing great. He's gotten 7 and 8 rushing attempts. Everything else has been passing or touchdowns. He's gotten pretty lucky. I don't think he can't keep that going. Once again, his next player, Kyle Pitts. And his next player that he's starting is CeeDee Lamb. All players that we've talked about. CeeDee Lamb
looking pretty.
CeeDee Lamb doesn't have the ceiling anymore with Cooper Rush. He's getting the targets, which is good, but he doesn't have the ceiling. He has no pop off on his team. Thielen, he's now benched. Thielen wasn't getting anything. Claypool sucks. Pollard had a good game, but I don't think he's going anywhere. He still has Jordan Mason. Elijah Mitchell is out. His team is. He needs it. He needs something.
I mean, I will say a couple things. Jahan Dotson, I think I like a little more. Yeah, he has a low target share.
Yeah.
But watching both games, it's very clear that Carson Wentz trusts him over everyone else in the red zone, including their tight end.
Okay, yeah, I agree with that.
So if he can end the season even with 5-6 targets a game, if he gets 12 touchdowns, that's a pretty good receiver overall.
Yeah.
Especially for a waiver wire pickup.
Just inconsistent, but sure. Yeah, I agree.
And Aaron Rodgers, I think, he's going to play a lot of better.
Aaron Rodgers will be fine. He'll do better. I'm just saying he doesn't have that pop up. He's not going to get you 30 points a game. And Dalton desperately needs someone to get him 30 points a game because he has no one to do it. And in fact, his team they have a low floor. They have a low ceiling and a low floor. He's going to average 80 points, 85 points a week. Probably 80 points a week, maybe.
Oh, no.
Well,
no.
I think this is a pretty good segue.
That's a great segue.
Talk about his opponent, Beans. You're covering this matchup this week. Beans versus Dalton. Give us a little preview, a little taste.
Yeah, so once again, I've been talking all about Dalton. It's really fun to shit on Dalton's team because of how confident he was in it. He's been confident this entire time, and it's not turned out well. So Dalton desperately needs that make. He needs to pop off. Beans' team, I actually like Beans' team a decent amount, especially because she's getting a certain someone in the running back 2 position.
Gonna help it out.
Gonna help her a little bit. Then she doesn't have to start Mark Ingram or hope Cam Akers pops off. It's actually gonna give her something in that spot. Russell Wilson hasn't been playing great, so it's a little worrisome. Jalen Waddle turns out he's actually a good player. Actually, he's doing really well. Jerry Jeudy might be hurt, but otherwise, I think her lineup's pretty solid, but could still have a lower floor. And Dalton really needs to win. So I think this is a really good matchup to watch. It could be really good. Dalton could really pop off, and Beans could have an okay week, and it could turn out to be a pretty good watch.
I think it's definitely winnable, primarily because of some of Beans' matchups. I mean, Jalen Waddle's against the Bills.
Yeah.
And the Bills are terrifying for any team right now.
But the Dolphins will be down most of that game, so they'll be throwing a lot.
Joe Mixon is against the Jets.
Presumably, but at some point. It's like maybe Tyreek gets we have no idea. And Russell Wilson is against the Niners, and they're probably not going to be able to run the ball with Javonte Williams and them. And so it's going to be on Russell Wilson, probably without Jerry Jeudy, from what I don't.
Yeah. It
seems like it.
I'm guessing he's out. Let me. Who is there?
If Jerry Jeudy's out, that's really
she can start Lazard. Lazard is he got a touchdown. That's not the worst flex spot, especially if you have McLaurin that you can put in your wide receiver 2 spot. That's okay.
But Lazard's against the Bucks. We don't know. That's not
true.
Good. That's a really bad matchup.
All right. Well,
the Bucks defense is awesome.
Definitely.
She have to go to the waiver wire for a receiver.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. If Jerry Jeudy's hurt, I think is the condition.
Yeah.
If Jerry Jeudy is hurt, she's gonna have serious problems, and this could be winnable for Dalton. On the other hand, she does have Travis Kelce versus the Colts, whose defense
and Joe Mixon against the Jets, like Reeves said,
and Joe Mixon against the Jets. And potentially a Jalen Waddle could do well. Who knows how that game's going to go?
I think one of the issues with Beans' team is I think she's really Travis Kelce dependent. Even though a lot of her team looks really solid and really good, I think if Travis Kelce gets 16 plus points a game, she probably wins because then the rest of her team can do pretty good, or maybe Jalen Waddle pops off and makes up for the rest of her team maybe not doing as well. This looks like a pretty good Kelce week. Even if the rest of her roster isn't, we're really maybe not sure about it. It looks like a pretty good Kelce week. So I think Beans has a good shot. She also could not play as well, and Dalton needs to play well. And I believe something on his team has got to blow up. Maybe he trades Henry, and then Henry blows up, and that would be hilarious. Maybe he doesn't trade Henry, and Henry blows up, and then it's a good game. I'm not sure, but it'll be a good game to watch.
All right, Wyatt, give us one of your previews this week. Tell us about the matchup.
Well, I got to talk about mine against Sharksy. Got to try to lower her ego a little bit because she's getting a little bit of a big head over there.
Really?
It's deserved. Yes. It's deserved because we doubted her and she's kicking ass. But gonna try to take her down a peg. I come in as underdog in the projections. Need to see if Pittman is going to be healthy.
We don't care about projections.
True. If Pittman is healthy, it will definitely be a big help because I was kind of scrambling at receiver last week with him out.
Yeah.
And then hopefully maybe Etienne can show something. He might be, like Reeves said, might be a make or break player this week. And then need Hurts and Goddard to keep doing their thing because Hurts has been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
And then maybe Josh Allen will chill the fuck out and not score 1 million points. Maybe Cooper Kupp won't score 2 touchdowns a game. James Conner might be out, so that would be helpful.
Yeah.
And then she also has Dalton Schultz as her starting tight end, who is going to be out for a few weeks. So she's going to have to scramble for some waiver tight end or whoever her backup is. I'm not even sure.
I think you're in a pretty good spot.
Yeah.
ETN is I think he's gonna be pretty touchdown dependent. Luckily, I think he'll get a decent amount of touchdowns this year, but he's just not getting the usage enough to be able to produce anything other than a touchdown. But I think he will probably get some in some games. I mean, he did last week, not this week as much, but last week he got some red zone usage. And then I think we're going to start seeing some chinks in the armor because her bench is pretty bad. Her starting roster is good. There's a lot of injuries, and her bench is pretty bad. So I think this will be a good week, and I'd like to see how this turns out.
I think the biggest reason I'd be scared for you is she has double Rams receivers against that terrible Cardinals defense. They're really bad. In the first 6 quarters of play, they basically just got, or of the season, they basically just got absolutely slaughtered. So, I mean, there's a chance that Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson combined for 45. I don't know what the distribution would be. There's also the chance that Matt Stafford just chucks 3 picks again and they kind of get fucked over.
Yes, please.
The biggest thing I like on your end, the Jalen Hurts Goddard stack. Washington's defense is not very good. They allowed 25 points to the Jags and just 30 or 40 to the Lions.
Yeah.
And I think DeAndre Swift as well against Minnesota. Minnesota's not been very good against the run so far. So I would definitely favor you primarily because of injuries. But her team definitely has some pop-off potential between the Rams wide receivers, and even Cordero Patterson against the Seahawks.
And Gabe
And
Davis and Josh Allen against Miami.
Yeah.
If Gabe
Yeah,
Davis
but again,
plays,
that's a good defense, injured receiver.
Yeah.
There's always the pop-off because Josh Allen's the best player in the league on offense right now.
Right.
But, yeah, I mean,
Should be a good one.
I'd probably favor you, but I think this is definitely the most contested matchup of the week.
All right, let's hear yours, Travis.
Great. I'm so excited to talk about one of my fucking matchups. I play Becca this week, another struggling team. And to be honest, I feel like I should be pretty heavily favored. I think it's like 52-48 according to Yahoo, but I just have a lot of faith in my team. I mean, I still like my draft. I haven't done anything on the waiver wire except change my backup tight end. I think Devontae Adams should get back to normal this week against the Titans, unless fucking Josh McDaniels decides to grief my team again. Christian McCaffrey has a pretty bad matchup, which is terrifying. But
They
Brandon
need
Cooks
to
also
throw
plays.
him
So
the
does Javonte
fucking
Williams.
ball, dude.
Dude, it's so they keep throwing to fucking Shea Sky or some dude. He's a third string receiver. And I'm like, he dropped like half his targets. And I'm like,
How are you not
why are
throwing
you not
the ball
throwing
to
to
Christian
DJ Moore?
McCaffrey?
How are they
and
not throwing to
Christian
DJ
McCaffrey?
Moore?
Yeah,
JJ Moore has like 5 and 6 targets. What are they doing? Make it stop.
Yeah, but I mean, I think my team has a lot of pop-off potential at receiver just because Devontae Adams against the Titans, Brandon Cooks against the Bears,
Yep.
and Drake London against the Seahawks.
No.
But Becca's team
Is it not a Juju angle?
after that fucking game,
It's not
it's
a
never a
Juju
Juju angle again in my fucking life. Okay? I hyped Juju so much. He had like 3 catches for like 10 yards.
Yeah.
I was furious. But now he's on my bench. He's going to score like 25 against the Colts.
Travis,
And
you
Becca
also
has. Oh, you go.
you are supposed to be aware of Tom Brady because I don't know if you know this. He's actually on your roster, and I don't think he's helping you that much.
Well, my current roster may not be the one that will be starting this week.
Oh yeah. Oh, the Derek Carr
I have Derek
move.
Carr
Oh, is that
against
the
the Titans.
foreshadow?
Apologies.
So there is a chance for a quarterback swap, especially with all the shit that Tom Brady's facing.
And Becca's quarterback is not playing too hot either.
He is
But
against
he
the
gets
Jets,
a game
though.
against the Jets.
Oh,
He
yeah.
Which
like
is,
this is the bounce back. If they don't bounce back this game, then they're
And
a
they're
bad
in
team.
big trouble.
But
Yeah.
like I think he's gonna. I think the Bengals are gonna do really well. Garrett Wilson apparently is their number 1 wide receiver. Just this week 2, just casually number 1 wide receiver. He got 2 touchdowns last week.
He did get hurt in the middle of the game. He came back, but apparently he still looked hurt. So there's a chance. And he's not listed as questionable or anything, but you never know if he's slowed down or
He had 14 targets last week.
Well, Joe Flacco's thrown the
this
ball 105 times in 2 games, and that's not an
Yeah.
exaggeration.
I know.
Yeah. I mean,
She does
her
have
team
Mike
is-
Evans suspended, so that hurts a little bit.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I think the Colts are going to be down early, so Jonathan Taylor may not be able to have the impact that he's trying to have. I don't know. The one week I get cocky, I'm going to get slaughtered by Becca. Becca's like,
Yeah.
all right, 175 points.
It could easily be like the Colts just get pissed off. They hand Jonathan Taylor the ball off 40 times this game, and he just gets 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I think I would rage. All right. So I think Reeves is up with your matchup of the week.
I have to do my matchup. I'm against Ag Mills this week. I don't know how.
I'm
I
sure
don't know
there
how
won't be a
much-
lot of shit talk in this one.
Yeah, I don't know how how excited
Very
for
civil.
this I am. I mean, Justin Herbert, if he's in, I think he's probably going to have a pretty solid game, unless for some reason they just give it to Austin Eckler, which would not be good because that benefits Ag Mills a lot. I think our run defense is probably better than our pass defense, so if something happens, hopefully Herbert throws the ball more. Diggs against Miami. Amon Ross against Minnesota. Hopefully Dalvin Cook against Detroit starts like moving, gets a touchdown. That'd be nice. Like he's a great player.
Well, that's a good make or break player right there.
Yeah, he was third last night in rushing for the Vikings, behind Kirk Cousins and Jalen Reagor,
Yeah.
their
Nice.
quarterback and wide receiver.
Yeah, he had I think he had almost as many targets as he had rushing attempts, just because they were down so early and they just like they just started throwing the ball. So like Dalvin Cook's a great player. The Vikings just were terrible on offense. I think he's gonna have a bounce back. Yeah, he should bounce back. Hopefully it's this next game. He had good usage in week 1 too. He had like 20 rushing attempts and five targets.
Just avoid primetime Kirk at all costs, I think, is the play.
Yeah, I think so too. And luckily, this is a 1:00 game. Nice.
Ooh, a spicy 1:00er.
But yeah, I'm a little worried about it. I think Alex's team has the potential to be pretty solid. So I'm not super excited about this game. I like my team a lot, but I'm not super excited about this game. It'll be a good matchup to sneak in on every now and then.
Yeah, I think Alex's team's problem is it seems like a pretty low ceiling with some of these players.
Yeah.
Like, I guess, like, is Jeff Wilson really going to pop off?
Probably not.
Like, is David Montgomery with their terrible ass offensive line and horrible quarterback, or what, throwing the ball quarterback, really going to pop off? So, I think as long as you can get to a solid baseline of points, you're going to be okay.
I'm just worried that this is the week where my players, none of them get touchdowns, because it hasn't happened yet. I've gotten a lot of touchdowns, and so this could be that. I'm okay with that if I have 1 week where I just don't get touchdowns, and the rest of the weeks I do. But AJ Dillon is against Tampa Bay. That's
a toughie.
That sounds not good. DJ Moore has not been getting that many targets. I don't know. I think once again I'm just pretty much heavily relying on Herbert, Diggs, and St. Brown, and we're going to see how they do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are three pretty good players to rely on.
Yeah.
Herbert, Diggs, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Pretty solid.
Pretty good. Like 3 top 10 players this year so far, so I'll take it.
Yeah. Wyatt, give us your other matchup.
I'm looking at Biz and Spencer's matchup.
Biz and Spino!
I think it's going to be pretty close. Can see if Justin Jefferson can have a bounce back. He should, because they're against Detroit and their defense has not looked great so far. Can see if Kittle can be healthy enough to play on Sunday night against the Broncos. That'll help her tight end spot, even though she had a good pickup with Logan Thomas. And then see if Goff can continue to be an offensive powerhouse and be a good waiver pickup for her. For Spencer, see how Pat Mahomes does against the Colts defense. Probably pretty well. Probably going to sauce him up.
Saucy Mahomes!
So saucy. I love that catch-up.
What was that voice? What was that character?
And then see if Kamara makes it back for this week. I think he should. And that'll help his lineup for sure.
I'm a little worried about Kamara, though. Even if he's not
even
hurt,
when he played in
his
week
usage
1, he wasn't that great.
So bad.
Well, he got hurt during the game week 1, and I'm pretty sure he continued to play. It could be, and it's a rib injury, which, like, as a running back, doesn't sound very fun, where you're getting hit in the ribs literally every play. But
and then he's looking for a bounce back from Saquon. He didn't have a great week this week. Also, how much right now he has Darrell Henderson in his flex, and like I said earlier, they gave Cam Akers like 17 carries or whatever it was. So, does the workload keep decreasing for Henderson and increasing for Akers? Does it balance out? So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, it's interesting to see, because going into this year, Spencer's team looked stacked from top to bottom. Like, his bench looked loaded, where you could fit like 3 players into his flex, and all of a sudden he's gotten to the point where his flex looks thin. I'm looking at his roster right now. Like, who do you start? Elijah Moore he's just the wide receiver 2 or 3 now. Tyler Boyd is he's a wide receiver 3. Chase Edmonds hasn't been playing well. Darrell Henderson might be getting phased out. Who do you start on a consistent basis?
I feel like if it was me, it'd definitely be between Edmonds and Henderson.
I think
both both have had solid number of carries in at least one game.
I think so too, but I'm just not that confident in those.
Yeah, that's the bigger issue. Is it's gonna be a little riskier, but I still think the rest of his team is pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Dolphins should try to get back to running the ball.
I think it'll be a good matchup.
Cortland Sutton, especially if Jerry Judy's out, he'll get
all the targets.
Like 13 of Russell Wilson to throw the ball, not that many. Now he's going to have to. They're against San Francisco. They're going to throw 50 times, and he's going to get 25 targets. Exaggeration, but they don't. They have 2 injured receivers.
Yeah.
It's going to be
but
wide
tight
receiver.
end. But Russell Wilson has loved those tight ends.
That's a good point. Yeah, he's gonna. Yeah, he'll
And
dump off
two
to the
running
tight ends
backs,
and then
they've
chuck
used
it
them-
deep and dump off to the tight end and chuck it deep and then dump off to the running back and then chuck it deep and that's going to be the game plan.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't. God, that Broncos team scares me this week. As a Javonte Williams owner, I could see that it's a primetime game. I could see it just getting out of hand really, really fast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
Yeah.
Especially with Jimmy G back, because Trey Lance fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great content.
All right,
All right,
Travis,
well,
give
I'm
us the
going
last
to close us
matchup.
out. Oh, yeah, it's Banglewood versus... Wait, no. Wait, do I have
Yeah.
Banglewood versus Dalton?
Yeah.
No, not Banglewood versus Dalton. That was last week.
Or didn't Reeves do Banglewood versus Dalton?
No.
No, it's
I did.
Banglewood. Wait.
Who is
What?
it? It's Banglewood versus whoever else is Steel.
Oh,
Steel?
that was this
Yeah,
week,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Banglewood versus
Banglewood
Steel.
Steel.
Yeah, I mean, I think this week's going to be pretty huge for Steele to see if he can keep it up. He went
Whoa.
from the lowest scoring team to the highest scoring team with one change that was actually a negative. So it's going to be a pretty big question of, like, can he actually keep up the production? New England's defense hasn't been bad this year. It's been their offense that's been really bad. Like, Bill Belichick is just a great coach. So if someone's going to have a plan to deal with Lamar and Mark Andrews, maybe it's probably Bill Belichick. I don't know how talented the defense is, but and then I mean Pittsburgh's another good defense. Nick Chubb's running into them. Antonio Gibson, that team's going to be down early.
Yeah.
The Commanders are going to be down
They're gonna
hard
get
early.
smashed.
So yeah, it's like I don't know who knows how many carries Antonio Gibson's going to get. Mike Williams, the Jags corners are probably the weakest part of their team right now. So maybe Mike Williams can have a pop-off game if Justin Herbert's injury doesn't affect them, and I think a lot of other factors. If Mike Williams decides to show up for 2 games in a row, which he rarely ever does.
If Keenan Allen doesn't play still.
I think Keenan Allen's out confirmed, I thought.
Oh, he's still out?
Oh, I thought he's supposed to be out for a few weeks, is what they said.
Oh, that's
week
not
one.
good for me.
I'm not sure if that's the case. On the other side, it's Banglewood. I mean, Banglewood has had 2 pretty solid weeks overall. I think he was like 7th in scoring last week, but Cole Kmet is just like, it's so bad, and he has no backup tight end. So
Yeah.
like,
I feel like someone
know.
on the waivers, but why didn't he pick up Logan Thomas at least?
Yeah, that's like, I feel like his lineup's okay. I mean, we talked about Ezekiel Elliott, where he probably needs to step it up a little bit. That's his running back 2. Najee Harris, the Browns. Who did they play? They played the Jets. I mean,
And the
who's
Panthers.
the rookie for the Jets?
Brees Hall.
Brees Hall. He had a pretty solid game this week. I mean,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I don't know how but they're overall a pretty good defense. And he's got Tyreek Hill, who's a huge question mark. Kyler Murray probably gonna do all right. I would think the Rams haven't been that good. So like, I think this is I actually think it's a really close matchup, unless Steele could explode again. Personally, I'd probably favor.
I think I'd favor Steele
Bengals
at this
team.
point. Oh,
Ooh.
Really, you'd favor Steele?
yeah.
I have no idea.
It's really
Yeah,
close.
this is a
It's
really
hard
close
because Steele did so well last week. I don't want to doubt him, but like I still don't disagree with the things I've thought about Steele's team before. I don't think his team is that deep. He has 2 kickers. I don't even think his starting roster is that good. I think after week 5, his roster is just gonna crash and burn. But it could crash and burn this week too. So I have no idea.
Yeah,
Also, to circle back, Keenan Allen is listed as questionable right now.
okay, so he may actually play.
Yeah.
So I mean, that'll probably greatly affect Steele's performance because
Yeah.
his wide receiver 1 is Mike Williams.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I just said Banglewood because I think Banglewood has a little better matchups.
Yeah.
I'm just scared of Lamar Jackson and Mark Andrews having a come down week.
I just have PTSD from getting bent over the table last week. So
Yeah, it happens.
gotta give that respect.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we have a pretty solid week of games. There's nothing that like stands out besides maybe Wyatt versus Sharksy as like the premier matchup.
It's hard to
But-
know what the premier matchups are anymore, though, because I feel like we look into them and we're like, oh, this is going to be a great matchup, and then it's like a blowout.
Yeah.
or the
Not
best
gotta
especially
look
in
at-
fantasy though.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just gotta
exactly.
Look at the higher seeds
I
playing.
agree.
each
Yeah,
other, I
it's
think.
just the higher seal. Yeah.
I mean, higher seeds or ones that we feel are more competitive. Like again, I
Yeah.
think Steel versus Bengal is probably one of the more competitive ones out there. And that's
I
a
agree,
Third versus
yeah.
an 8th seed,
Yeah.
right? Like it's so. I mean, I think it's a pretty good week. I could literally see every team winning their game, like
Yeah.
a scenario where every single team wins their game.
Yeah.
Even Dalton, after Reeves shit on you for
even
now
Dalton,
an hour and 10 minutes.
It's hard. Dalton's team is so bad, but it is hard. I see the path. I see the light.
And I guess we're going to have to see what happens starting Thursday. Make sure to set your lineups, everybody. Thank you for joining us for episode 3. How about that for a fucking transition, by the way?
That's why you're our host with the most.
Yeah, the host with the most.
Praise
Thank you guys for watching. Reeves, thank you for joining us. It was a blast.
Thank you.
This has been the longest episode by far.
Hopefully
we
people
were just
don't hate
chatting with the boys and having fun. So that's all I got. Anyone else have anything interesting to say before I wave to y'all?
I love you.
Bye.